Mm. Oh, I want to see them 10 days. Howdy days. The one and only Joshua featuring Exxon all the way from Uganda. The song is called Morocco Over Their Good Vibes and Inshallah. My name is Yurtan Lunkur. Welcome to Let's Pop with Irritan. Happy New Year again until the month ends. You can download our app from the Google Play Store, stream on www.blackwatchfireradionetwork.com for amazing healthy supplements. I'm taking my Seymours every day. Like it's a religion, I'm telling you. Every day I'm taking my Seymour. Every day I got to, my skin is looking amazing because of the CMOS and other things are actually good for your benefit. We also do have ashwagandha, we do have brain focus, we do have beetroot. I hope General Mosquito, you finally ordered your beetroot. Finally, the year has come for you to do that because you've been saying it's taking forever to actually being dispersed in the UK, but you've never actually ordered. So you gotta order your beetroot. Get your ashwagandha also, and you do have the clothing store section on the website. Get your t-shirt, hoodies, max bags with the Black Watch Fire Radio logo on it, supporting the awakening of the African. That's what you're gonna do if you want to be a part of the Black Watch Fire Radio. Now, all right, that's the least you can definitely do. So before I start the conversation about Venezuela's oil cars and also the origin of dyeing your hair. Where did you start? I'm going to talk a bit about that. But let's listen in to the health and benefit of some of the supplements we do have for you. I hope you had a beautiful, splendid weekend and you had the best because the new year. You gotta put yourself first. Let's listen to the health and benefit of multivitamin.
Fuel your body with complete multivitamin, the perfect balance of essential nutrients for daily health and wellness. Carefully formulated from natural ingredients, our multivitamin packs vitamins A, C, D, E, plus key minerals like zinc and magnesium to support your immune system and boost energy. Just one tablet a day is all you need. Take it with water and feel the difference as prescribed by your healthcare provider. Stay active, stay strong, stay ready with Complete Multivitamin, your daily dose of vitality. Complete Multivitamin, simple, powerful nutrition. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition store.
$32.90. You'll get your multivitamin. Also, on the side of coffee, we do have Manuka honey coffee for $59.90. We also do have beetroot, as I said earlier. Ladies, we do have the amazing Alacool cucumber soap and the shea butter to give you that beautiful, beautiful skin. And also, it helps with the hair growth. When I take a listen on a video regarding Venezuela's oil cars, but before that, we want to talk more about where the origin of dyeing your hair started. And I do have an overview over here on how that started or where that originated, a good word to use. They said hair dyeing culture didn't start in Kenya, but traditions of coloring hair, that's the right word, coloring hair with natural dyes like ochre and henna have deep roots in Kenyan and other African communities. Predating modern chemical dyes and European influence, though the global modern hair dye industry began, saying here, in the 1900s, ancient Egyptians, oh, literally in Africa, Maasai's and other groups used natural substances for hair and body decoration. Actually, talking more about the European influence of L'Oreal, which definitely we've been there are added chemicals in the dyes nowadays. But we do have the natural dyes like the henna that a lot of people do use. Also, the Maasai culture definitely use the dye. And other groups use natural substances for hair and body decoration. With Kenyan communities like the Maasai's using ochre for warriors and the Swahili coast adopting henna early on in those days. So the Maasai's warrior, the Morans, and other groups use ochre mixed with animal fat or water to color their hair red for decorative and cultural reasons. I've seen that a lot with a lot of Nilotic cultures, practicing for centuries. We also do have henna or mhina or mkokoa. Along the Swahili coast, henna arrived via trade routes, becoming a common dye for skin and hair by the 19th century, used by various ethnicities for celebrations like weddings. So that's a very beautiful thing. We do have the global contents where ancient roots. This is actually regarding hair coloring isn't new. Ancient Egyptians, so they're saying over here, Greeks and Romans also used natural pigments and extensions. We do have right now what's happening in the modern world or the modern industry. The first synthetic hair dye for human use was created, as they're saying in Google, in France in 1907 by Eugene Schroeder, who founded L'Oreal. You definitely know about that brand, are marking the beginning of the modern commercial industry, which is actually earthed with a lot of chemicals. And a lot of people complain about their hair falling off when they use some dyes. It doesn't really work. So, in summary, Kenya has a rich history of traditional hair coloring using natural dyes, but the culture of dyeing hair itself is ancient and global, with modern chemical dyes evolving much later. The one I can definitely recommend for people to use is the henna, because with the henna is so natural. Here I can say in Kenya, I don't know about the rest of the world, it's so natural and it doesn't actually make your hair fall off. I've seen a lot of people, mostly women, complaining about these big brands, and when they apply dye on their hair, it starts falling off because that's crazy. But next to the conversation right away about Venezuela's oil costs, I'll share a video up to it as I definitely react to the main conversation about Venezuela. I believe everybody has heard about what's really happening, obviously. But let's take a listen about Venezuela's oil costs and the nations from riches to rain. They're talking more about that. Let's listen in.
Never ending. Pero la verdad es que es bastante triste que tengamos que sufrir tanto, el cual horas de 5 horas que hay que amanecer. Meanwhile, the black market is booming and prices are rising. The taxi drivers who connect the cities and the isolated villages in the Andes are at breaking point.
But we do have a conversation here or a perspective that we do know Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world. And from the little research I've done regarding this, we do have, it takes a lot of effort to extract the oil resources. And basically, if that happens, they definitely always face financial and political hurdles. And that's what we're seeing is happening right now. I believe so.
En ese entonces lo que, cuando de un pasaje para acá, tanqueaba uno el carro. Prácticamente era gratis, ¿ah?
Just a few years ago, €2 was enough to fill Johnny's 80-litre tank. Today he has to part with €40. So he's increased the fare. But he rarely gets any passengers. He now finds himself stuck in a vicious circle.
Si yo cobro un pasaje barato, no tengo cómo mantener el carro. Los repuestos caros y la carretera siempre es forzada para los carros y siempre hay que hacer el mantenimiento. No, es feo, bastante fea, más peligrosa.
These days, it's not just the ravines horrifying Venezuela.
About the oil production in Venezuela, I definitely understand it exports its most oil in China, like 100%. And it's the same thing that we did see happening trade wars last year with the USC and China. It's the same thing that is happening right now in Venezuela, which is really, really crazy because it has gone the extra mile. And the fact that we know right now Venezuela exports most of its oil to China, which will also likely to purchase more of its own refineries. An industry expert who spoke to one of the journalists said that to have access to those reserves could be a game changer in terms of increasing Gulf Coast refiners' profit. We also do have an understanding that assets of ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips were expropriated in 2007, which is the fact that when did Venezuela kick out U.S. oil companies? And after they declined to restructure their holdings in Venezuela to give a majority control, we did have a total Chevron, Statoil, and BP agreed, these are companies, and retained minority shares in their Venezuelan project. We also have a perspective with the video that we're sharing right now. Venezuela's oil literally needs heavy refinement, and oil fields are technically or technologically more challenging than those in the Persian Gulf. So it requires investment and expertise, which Venezuela lacks. So by nationalization, they essentially kicked out everyone competent out.
Percent. So traveling down to the city to buy food is no longer an option. Many have turned back to the countryside to a self-sufficient way of life.
Estamos en un país que está prácticamente deteriorado. Es que volvimos al pasado, parece mentira, pero aquí en Venezuela volvimos al pasado.
In just a few years, Venezuela has gone from the richest country in South America to one of the poorest. Oil has always fueled its economy. So when rates plummeted in 2013, they took the whole country down with them. Hyperinflation has pushed millions into poverty. The state no longer has the funds to maintain its infrastructure.
Esta carretera era muy bonita, por aquí llegó a pasar carros sencillos, pero de hace muchos años para acá han tenido muy descuidado estos caminos, mucho.
Everyone does what they have to survive, but communities are pulling together in the face of shortages. Even getting a drink requires hard graft. Drinking water hasn't flown through the pipes for a long time. Aquí viene el agua cada vez que muere un papa. Y cuando muere un papa, que un papa.
In Africa have so much minerals and oils, namely a lot of minerals and resources, but there's a lot of taking part in the 254 Nairobi and also in Africa. And the same thing you might be asking in Venezuela, why is this video showcasing like a lot of people are actually going through a hard time, and it's so rare to actually get oil or gas, name it, and whatever perspective you might actually take it. And the fact that goes back to the government, political corruption, because it doesn't make sense why Venezuela, being the largest supply of oil, and the fact that it's actually very impoverished, like 100%. It's the same thing that is happening in Africa. The question is, we are so rich in resources and minerals, but there's a lot of imperfections going on here in the 254 Nairobi, Kenya, in Africa, in every side of Africa. And the 1% are the ones who are benefiting from all this because of the collaboration and the agreements that they do have with the globalists.
Fortunately, there are guardian angels like Brother Nelson, a monk who goes from village to village bringing food and medicine by whatever means necessary. Solo en los ambulatorios no hay medicamentos. ¿Cómo viene un médico a una comunidad de estas por un camino con estas condiciones? La vida de nosotros pasamos, venimos, vamos, venimos.
You got her.
Into Coco, the bell announces good news, bad news, and departures. Brother Nelson and his team are preparing themselves for a long and treacherous journey.
Hay barro, hay hueco, hay piedras, que tenemos que pasar río también, ¿ves? Entonces, bueno, vamos a ver por el camino, a ver qué dificultad nos va a traer el día de hoy.
Adrian is piling up flour, pasta, lentils, and other goods of all kinds. Brother Nelson is a traveling monk with a mission, not content to sit on the sidelines. He crisscrosses the region to bring food to the most needy. Like the children he welcomes in.
Tenían más de un año que el ministerio no despachaba alimentos para el comedor escolar y estamos teniendo un alto índice de desnutrición en la comunidad. Nosotros estamos cumpliendo ahorita la responsabilidad que le compete al Estado. Con esta situación
We'll definitely switch to another conversation in regards to why does the US actually really want Venezuela's oil, and basically it does produce oil, so why does it really want to take over? But actually that really happens because it always takes over everything that is actually gold in every country. It's happening in Africa, it's happening right now in Venezuela. It did happen going back to a lot of stories, or basically facts, not even story, of how the US has actually caused chaotic, just literally planned chaotic moment for them to actually dominate a country or a nation for their own benefit.
Baby drill.
But he doesn't just talk about America's oil.
We're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil.
So why is he interested in more oil when the US has so much of its own? To understand this, we need to take a deeper look at oil and how it shaped the US and the world. Oil fuels our transport and powers our homes, but it's also used to make plastic, asphalt, and even some lip balms. And to make all those different things requires different types of oil. Let's imagine something more delicious, like chocolate. There are varieties of dark, milk, and white that look, taste, and feel different from one another, even though they're all technically chocolate. Crude oil, the raw material that's pumped out of the ground, is the same. Depending on its density, sulfur content, and ability to flow, oil is classed from light sweet crude on one end to heavy sour on the other.
Overall, we have about 160 plus varieties of crude oil. Different refineries around the world are geared up to process or crack, to use the industry's expression, different grades of crude.
It's easier to refine light crude than heavy, which is thicker. And once that's done, the light is mainly used for products like gasoline and jet fuel, while heavy oil can be used as fuel for ships, material for roads, and lip balm, among many other things. That's generally reflected in the price. Light sweet crude, the blue line on the chart, is worth more than heavy, the red line, and so it's more expensive to buy. And this is key to understanding American oil. In 2025, the US sold 13.4 million barrels a day. But at the same time, it bought nearly 2 million barrels each day from other...
I believe we should definitely learn from the US because they're literally teaching you ways on how to dominate and protect the confidence that the United States of America has in terms of, protecting themselves whenever anything happens. It's something I believe Africans should learn because we see the one and only Ibrahim Traore actually doing his best to make the Sahel become super independent because, honey, if you have power, nobody can tell you anything because you can protect yourself and you're super confident on how you can actually say no to the invaders. That's one thing I believe Africa is actually falling on our step 100%. If we need to actually take back our power, one thing we need to focus on is on the ammunition side because we lack that very badly, very sadly. We lack that. We don't have the confidence to actually say, no, this is not really happening because there's nothing protecting us. What are we supposed to do in terms of war? If there's war coming right now, if there's a war that has been actually approved or called out as Africans in Africa, a very beautiful, rich nation in terms of minerals and resources, the people name it. But I believe the fact is a lot of nations right now they've always depended on Africa for a lot of things. So might be a factor on how to actually take over Africa in other ways, which we definitely know, and it's happening right now. But also, if we take a listen and take a look at how USA, the United States of America, operates, there's a lot of things you can learn from them in regards to how to actually confidently take your power and protect yourself.
The countries. So why not just keep those extra barrels it produces? It all comes down to light versus heavy. America's oil is 80% light. But most US oil refineries, like these along the Gulf Coast, were built to deal with heavy. That's because most oil available to the US in the 20th century was heavy sour crude oil imported from Latin America and Canada. But in the early 2000s, there was a seismic shift in US oil production. Advances in technology meant light crude oil trapped in shale rocks could now be extracted at scale. This means there's a mismatch between most of the oil America has and the type it can refine.
Once a refinery has been built, it's very difficult to change it and requires millions and millions of dollars worth of investment.
It's not worth doing that because, as we saw on this graph, America can sell its light crude for more and buy heavy for less. It makes good economic sense. So let's look at the top 10 countries with the biggest oil reserves. Many are known to extract heavy crude. 3 of them, Venezuela, Iran, and Russia, are currently under sanctions by the United States. Despite this, small amounts of oil from Venezuela have trickled into the US. That's because after Venezuela struck oil, it was mostly American companies that helped set up the industry. And that relationship continued for most of the 20th century, extracting their heavy crude.
Unlike other Latin American...
One of the benefits they were actually gaining from it, there was a benefactor from all this?
African countries, Venezuela maintained this positive relationship with the United States. Even during the 1976 nationalization of oil, always positive, and obviously they had highs and lows, but always was a positive relationship.
But the turning point was when socialist leader Hugo Chavez came to power in 1999. He asserted state control over the oil industry in particular.
He put tougher conditions on foreign oil companies, and that's what the US government and US oil companies didn't really like.
When Hugo Chavez died in 2013, Nicolás Maduro became president and continued these policies. In 2019, a World Bank tribunal ordered the Venezuelan government to pay compensation to US oil companies, but it wasn't paid. And that's part of what US President Donald Trump is referring to when he says that Venezuela has stolen American oil.
They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
Venezuela denies these claims. Things escalated between the two countries at the end of 2025 when the US military seized oil tankers and blockaded Venezuelan ports. President Trump said this was to tackle narco-terrorism. On January 3rd, American troops seized the leader of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, and his wife. They took them to the United States to face drug-related charges. Here's some of what President Trump said following that intervention.
We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela.
US and Western sanctions in Venezuela over the last decades have made space for competitors to come in, like Russia, Iran, and particularly China.
China has become a very important trade partner.
I said earlier with Venezuela.
Of not just Venezuela, but of most South American countries. And in particular, it's been buying raw materials, oil, copper, soya, all sorts of natural resources.
China has been buying around 90%.
Venezuela exports most of its oil in China, and China has always been like back and forth with the USA, and the trade wars literally are going on.
Percent of Venezuela's oil, and is a key trading partner. And it's this sort of influence that the Trump administration wants to stop.
Well, we want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world.
When it comes to Venezuela's oil, things aren't going to change quickly. Despite Venezuela having the biggest known reserves, around 303 billion barrels, it exports fewer than 1 million barrels a day. That's because of sanctions and decades of underfunding and mismanagement.
The infrastructure has to be, in some cases, believe it or not, rebuilt from scratch, looking at a 3 to 4 year window before any Venezuelan crude in meaningful volumes happens.
And while there's a push to use more renewable energy in the face of growing climate change concerns, oil still plays a crucial role in the global order.
The oil industry over the last century or so has been an immense source of wealth, is a multi-trillion-dollar industry which has transformed the fortunes of nations overnight.
But also it's not transforming Venezuela's citizens' life at all, because there's the video that I started with and how Venezuela is literally impoverished, and it has the most oil of all time. And the fact that if you listen right now, there's a perspective over here. I want us to go back again.
Looking at a 3 to 4 year window before any Venezuelan crude in meaningful
all over the world.
When it comes to Venezuela's oil, things aren't going to change quickly. Despite Venezuela having the biggest known reserves, around 303 billion barrels,
303 billion barrels,
it exports fewer than 1 million barrels a day. That's because of sanctions and decades of underfunding and mismanagement.
The infrastructure has to be, in some cases, believe it or not, rebuilt from scratch, looking at a 3 to 4 year window before any Venezuelan crude in meaningful volumes happens.
And while there's a push to use more renewable energy in the face of growing climate change concerns, oil still plays a crucial role in the global order.
The oil industry over the last century or so has been an immense source of wealth, is a multi-trillion-dollar industry which has
multi-million-dollar industry. As we're almost coming to the end because of time, I believe, as I always say this each and every day on the show, the one and only Ibrahim Traore has been or is alive, showcasing other Africans that it's possible to be independent. And he's done it, and he's doing it. Regardless of the amount of assassination he's been receiving as threats, he keeps pushing on because it takes a lot of sacrifice, and that's how it takes to actually take your power back. There's gonna be a lot of threats. There's gonna be a lot of people trying to pull you down. There's gonna be a lot of things trying to take you out of the picture. But it is possible. It's happening in Burkina Faso, and it should happen in Africa as a nation because we do have a lot that we can actually definitely have boundaries on, mostly on our resources and minerals, because it doesn't really make sense that Africa is one of the wealthiest nation of all time. It is, but a lot of people or a lot of Africans are actually suffering, struggling. It's literally impoverished. It doesn't make sense. It will never. But we definitely have to start relearning and learning, redefining our minds. That's how it starts. And also the kind of leaders that we do need. We need conscious leaders who can put an end to all this crap. Because no, honey, years are going by each and every day, time, name it. But a generation is rising right now. A generation learning the same old things in terms of the educational system that I've always learned that is actually keeping us colonized. Is not teaching us how to actually be in our power, to understand our identity, to take back our power, to look up to other Africans as the greatest people of all time. No, but it's showcasing us to actually uphold other races as the most greatest people of all time. It doesn't add up like that. But before I finish up, I'll share a little snippet of the video that I started with on the show. If there's a word like that, the people living in Venezuela, and it has the largest oil, reserves, and definitely supplies oil to a lot of nations out there. But this is what is happening on the ground. It's the same thing that is happening in Africa. We export a lot of minerals, but look at our living condition. It doesn't really add up. Sankara could not join us today, but he will. We definitely did a conversation, but he'll definitely join us later on the next show. I hope you all will definitely join us right away. Thank you for the ones who are joining us right away on YouTube and BitChute. I see you over there. Remember, you can download our app on the Google Play Store, stream on www.blackwatchfirenetwork.com for amazing healthy supplements. I shared the one that I actually use every day. It's kind of like a religion for me to always take my CMOS. So you can also do the same thing. If you order your BitChute, if you order your multivitamin, if you order your brain focus, if you order your ashwagandha, manuka honey coffee, and the ladies out there, order your sheer butter and Alacool cucumber soap. And we do have the clothing store section. We are selling t-shirts, hoodies, beanie hats, dot hats, mags, bags, with the Black Watch Fire Radio Network on 8. It's always about redefining Africa as we redefine ourselves, because we are the change we need to see in the world. And it's the awakening, honey. So you got to order that t-shirt to actually stand by your word. But before that, I will share some of the supplements we do have for you on the website.
Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind, Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
Super affordable price. You'll get your brain focus, and I also shared beetroot at a super affordable price. You can take a listen at Venezuela's Oil Curse to get more an understanding of what's really happening in Venezuela, and also how it all came to manifest. I'll continue with a conversation on Wednesday because of time, and how Venezuela is actually suffering. As I said earlier, it has one of the largest oil reserves of all time in the world. And that's why we see the war and the back and forth with the USA and Venezuela. But I believe right now it's the audacity you gotta have as a nation, or the leaders we do have. Sadly, we don't have the kind of leaders we do want to have in Africa who can say, no, we are not gonna collaborate with you. No. No is the word, boldly and audaciously. But that time is coming. I see it. I believe it. But that has been my time. My name is Irton Longoria. I am sending you so much love and light. It's 2026. It's about to be late because it's always a great time to be alive here on the Blackwood Fire Radio Network. See you on the next show. And remember to order your supplements. Please stay healthy. Health is wealth.
Keeping you company throughout the day. Keeping you company throughout the day.
You're now listening to the best music. 1 hour of the hottest tracks and coolest mashups of the moment.
Get ready. The hits keep coming.